Okay, welcome back. This is the second video about GRT. In the previous video, we went over how the concept behind GRT, the concept. And the concept is very simple. Once again, to review, the concept is based on this idea that on the left of an ordered pair is the letter X, and on the right of an ordered pair is the letter Y. And we're going to see how we can use that in our TI-Nspire calculator to do this strategy called GRT. The reason they call it GRT has to do with three important keywords when using the calculator. Graph, which starts with G, R is relation, and T starts the word trace. So those are where the three letters come from: GRT, graph, relation, trace. And let's solve a problem together. Okay, so here's a sample of how it will look in the calculator when you do this. You really don't have to do any algebra at all, even though you should learn up your algebra. But if you're stuck, this is a good way to check and solve this kind of problem. Okay, so what is the value of y in the equation y equals 2/3 x plus 1 when x equals -2? Okay, so let's take a look at our calculator. And remember, I'm going to try, before I set up the calculator, let me make an important point that right here I see very important information, that the x equals -2. And I see that they're also asking me for the value of y, and they gave me an equation. Those are the three important components for GRT. You have to have, at one of the values, you have to have either x or y, and you need an equation. And of course, they're asking you for the other value. Okay, so over here, you're going to put your -2 on the left because that is the x. And then the number that comes out for the y is going to be my answer. Okay, so let's look in the calculator. I have junk in here from previous videos, so I'm going to Control N. That's the start of a new problem. Anytime you want to start a new problem, you press Control N, and then you press No, and that clears out the whole calculator for you. And already I can see one of my keywords. Remember, it's GRT. The G stood for graph. So I'm going to choose option number 2. Okay, now I see some funky writing up here. And what we can do is delete the equal sign. Always remember, please, delete the equal sign. And that will bring out your next keyword, relation. It's down there, number 6. So I'm going to press number 6. And now, in this box right here, see it says relation, and there's my ordered pair. I need the letter X, and I need the letter Y. Okay, so the relation is the equation. Y equals 2/3 x plus 1. So I'm just going to copy that in. Y equals, now to put an empty fraction, please remember that you can press Control, Divide, and there you go. You've got your empty fraction. Put a 2 on the top, a 3 on the bottom, and then don't keep typing because look what happens. I'm stuck on the bottom of the fraction. You don't want that. Go to the right, press X, and then the second piece was plus 1. And you have to copy the whole equation, guys, the whole entire thing with the equal sign, everything. So it should look like that. And then we press Enter. Okay, now I can see my graph. And something that's important is that you can see here they gave you the equation. If it's blocking, guys, if you can't see a good view, move the equation out of the way. Just get your cursor on top of it and press down the little hand to move stuff out of the way. If you need help with that in class, we can go over that in person, but it just takes a little practice. You go over it with the hand and you move stuff around. Okay, so we've done graph. That was one keyword we saw on our path. We've done relation. That was another keyword we saw in our path. Now we need to access the trace keyword. Okay, so the trace keyword is hidden in the menu option, menu. And there it is right there, number 5, trace. When you choose trace, you always choose number 1, graph trace. And when you see the blue X, hit Enter and Escape. Okay. So there we go. Now I hit Enter and Escape, and what do I see here but an ordered pair? And that's exactly what we were talking about before, that we need to use ordered pairs for these problems. So I'm going to use the hand to grab it and move it over here so I can see more clearly. Now all I'm going to do is change the numbers here. So I look at my problem, I look what I wrote down, and the x is going to be -2. So of course, I'm going to change the 0, because that is the x, and make it -2. And there we go. There's an answer right there, -1/3. And you can see that it pointed directly to that dot on the line, guys. So the x is now -2, and the y was -1/3. So that is my answer, okay? So y equals -1/3, right there. So this is my answer. It's a very powerful calculator strategy. It works for many different scenarios. This is just one. Anytime when they're giving you a value and they need an opposite value and they give you the equation, you can always use your GRT calculator strategy. One important note, they do have to be the letters X and Y. Okay, X and Y. Just like it told you in the calculator, I need an X and I need a Y. But what if they gave me the letters A and B? Well, I would just change them. Make the A to be X and the B the letter Y. And everything's fine. All right. Thanks, guys, and stay tuned for more videos about GRT.